Everything seemed to be running like clockwork inside the Red Bull empire until it wasn't. After the shocking departure of Christian Horner, the mastermind behind Red Bull's dominance, the team is now facing a dramatic shakeup that could alter the Formula One landscape entirely. In a twist nobody saw coming, Red Bull is preparing to sell their junior outfit, Racing Bulls, to none other than Porsche. The same Porsche that once nearly signed on as a power unit partner with Red Bull is now circling back not for a technical alliance this time, but for full ownership. The aftershocks of Horner's exit are being felt in every corner, and it's clear now that his presence was one of the major reasons Porsche's initial negotiations collapsed. But with him gone, the floodgates have opened for something much bigger. Now, the FIA has stepped in with the kind of clarity and enforcement rarely seen in the sport's political maze. For years, the rulebook has contained clear language stating that no single entity should hold controlling interests in two teams, a provision designed to protect competitive integrity and prevent any one outfit from gaming the system. But while this rule existed on paper, in practice it was treated as more of a guideline than a mandate. Red Bull's ownership of both Red Bull Racing and Racing Bulls has long been a topic of quiet frustration among rival teams, who have often accused the energy drink giant of exploiting the second team as a strategic buffer zone, testing prototype parts under the radar, experimenting with alternative setups without risking championship points, or even influencing on-track outcomes by using Racing Bulls as a defensive wall during qualifying or early race stints. While never proven outright, the optics have been damaging, and many believe it's undermined the sport's reputation for fair competition. With Christian Horner's departure weakening Red Bull's political clout, the FIA finally had the window to act decisively, and they're making it clear this era of two-team manipulation is coming to an end. Back in 2022, Porsche was on the verge of sealing a blockbuster deal with Red Bull that would have sent shockwaves through the Formula One world. The plan was ambitious. Porsche would enter F1 not as a team owner, but as a works engine supplier in partnership with the reigning champions. The deal had progressed to the point where legal teams were reviewing draft contracts, joint branding strategies were being drawn up, and even corporate roadmaps had been quietly shared between Stuttgart and Milton Keynes. It wasn't just a handshake and a press release away, it was practically inked. But just as the motorsport world began bracing for the return of the iconic Porsche badge to the grid, the entire agreement came crashing down. And at the center of that breakdown was Christian Horner. According to multiple reports and insider accounts, Horner raised serious objections over Porsche's proposed shareholding structure and operational influence. Porsche, being a legacy manufacturer with a fiercely independent culture, demanded significant control over the direction of Red Bull technologies, including technical decisions, team strategy, and corporate branding. Horner, having built Red Bull Racing into a championship powerhouse, saw this as a hostile takeover cloaked in a partnership. The power struggle became irreconcilable. Despite Helmut Marko's interest in the deal and backing from Volkswagen's top brass, Horner vetoed it behind closed doors. In essence, he didn't want to answer to anyone outside Red Bull, and certainly not to a traditionalist German automaker with rigid corporate governance. The fallout was immediate and cold. Porsche felt insulted and blindsided, walking away from the table and publicly declaring they had no viable entry point into F1. The headlines shifted, Red Bull moved on, and Porsche went back into the shadows of speculation. But that was then. Today, the power dynamic has been flipped on its head. With Horner no longer part of the equation, all the resistance Porsche once faced is gone. They've quietly reapproached FIA, not for an engine supply partnership, but with a full acquisition proposal for Racing Bulls. This time, they're not looking to share power or negotiate compromises. They want to buy the team outright, operate it as their own, and finally step into F1 with full independence and credibility. And without Horner's hardline stance blocking the path, the Red Bull camp is far more receptive, especially with FIA breathing down their necks to divest their second team. The reaction from the paddock has been electric. Zak Brown and Toto Wolff, two of Red Bull's fiercest critics, have publicly welcomed the FIA's intervention. Both team principals have long argued that Red Bull used Racing Bulls as a strategic pawn, from testing parts to blocking rivals in qualifying sessions. Wolff called it a loophole that needed closing, while Brown labelled it an overdue correction for the integrity of the sport. Their comments echo a growing sentiment that Formula One has reached a turning point where competitive fairness cannot be sacrificed for brand empires. The sale of Racing Bulls, especially to an external manufacturer like Porsche, is being hailed as a win for sporting equity. But for Porsche, this move is about more than just fair play. It's about unfinished business. The brand has been flirting with a Formula One return for years, but now the stars are aligning. With Audi officially joining the grid in 2026 under the same Volkswagen Group Group umbrella, Porsche wants its own presence to shine, separately and competitively. Acquiring an existing team bypasses the costly and uncertain process of starting from scratch or applying as the elusive 12th team. It gives them factory control, immediate entry, and a platform to showcase their motorsport legacy. For VW Group, this dual-path strategy lets both brands express their identity while sharing certain technological backbones, similar to how Red Bull and Racing Bulls once operated, but now on much more equal, regulated terms. However, this shortcut to the grid comes with a critical catch, one that has thrown the entire plan into question. Because both Porsche and Audi are under the Volkswagen Group umbrella, the FIA has raised serious concerns about competitive independence. The governing body has made it explicitly clear that it will not approve Porsche's entry through the acquisition of Racing Bulls, unless VW Group can demonstrate, beyond doubt, that Porsche and Audi will operate as two entirely separate and independent constructors. Shared ownership is not the issue. It's about sporting autonomy, engineering separation, and operational independence. In simpler terms, the FIA wants to be sure that Audi and Porsche won't collaborate behind the scenes or share resources that could give either an unfair advantage or, worse, recreate the very kind of two-team structure they are now dismantling at Red Bull. This has become the make-or-break moment for the deal. Porsche might be ready, Racing Bulls might be for sale, and Red Bull might be eager to offload. But unless the FIA is satisfied that Porsche and Audi are truly independent entities in structure, strategy, and staffing, the deal will be blocked. Volkswagen Group now finds itself at the center of a regulatory test. If they can present a convincing framework, including distinct leadership, factory locations, technical teams, and financial operations, the FIA may greenlight the deal. But if even a shadow of overlap is detected, the plan will collapse. For Porsche, the dream of finally racing in F1 under its own badge hangs in the balance, hinging not on performance or funding, but on proving they are not Audi in disguise. The clock is ticking, and the FIA is watching closely. The implications for Formula One are massive. This could mark the end of shadow teams and begin a new chapter where true independence among constructors becomes the gold standard. Fans can expect a more level playing field, where each team races not only for points, but with genuine autonomy and accountability. Porsche's entry would also heighten the sport's manufacturer credibility, joining a cast that already includes Ferrari, Mercedes, Audi, Honda, and Ford. And for the FIA, this move sends a clear signal that they're tightening the rulebook, prioritizing competition over convenience. Red Bull's Racing Bulls may be the first domino to fall, but it won't be the last. The sport is entering a new era, and with Porsche on the grid, the race for fairness is finally getting traction. Do you think the FIA should trust Volkswagen to keep Porsche and Audi truly independent in Formula One, or is this just Red Bull 2.0 waiting to happen? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.